Welcome to the What Now Movement Virtual Business Summit. I am Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. I'm the author of The Discipline of Now, and I am the host of the 30-Minute Hour podcast.
And I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, educator, author, publisher, and host of the I Am Dr. Sharon Show.
And I am Ted Fells, President and CEO of New Core Vision and also co-host of the 30-Minute Hour podcast.
So let's talk about why we, as the founders, decided to start this movement. So this pandemic has impacted you. It may have impacted your business, changed your business. It may have changed your job situation. It may have changed your situation at home. The question is, what now? That's the question. So we decided to put this movement together with the mission of building high-performance entrepreneurs, high-performance authors, and career professionals who are ready to deal with life's unexpected curveballs. Because here's the thing, this pandemic will pass, but there's going to be another crisis down the road, and we need to be able to adapt and prepare. And that's really the whole point of this movement. You can see our vision, you can see our mission, and we're aligned on these core values to build, to create, and to innovate. And this is all about community. We want to form a community where we can all collaborate and share these ideas and pool our resources and ultimately equip ourselves to take it to the next level, and again, to be prepared for those unexpected curveballs.
Absolutely. And we have a dynamic lineup for you today. We are packed from 10 until 3 p.m. today. And so we hope that you join us. We're going to kick it off with none other than Ash Shukla. His title session is Becoming a Pandemic-Proof Entrepreneur. He will present in between 10:15 and 10:45. He will be taking your questions at the end of his presentation. You certainly do not want to miss this. And next, we are followed by Matthew Horn. What do you mean you're bored? Write a book. Oh my goodness. Author and publisher Matthew Horn will be giving us some tips on writing and publishing. His session is scheduled from 10:45 until 11:15. Our first panel, we have two dynamic panels today. The first one entitled Adjusting to the New Normal, Business Pivots panel discussion. We have business owners, entrepreneurs who have had to adjust and some who have adjusted earlier so that they can make sure that their business sustains. We have husband and wife duo, Antonio and Martina Turner. We also have Marquessa Petway, Gina Young, and Sonia Powers Waddell. So you certainly do not want to miss this panel discussion. It will be from 11:15 to 12:15. Our afternoon lineup does not disappoint. We have presenter Mary Abajay. Her title is How to Advance in Your Job in a New Virtual World. Author, speaker, she's going to let you know how to manage up. Our second panel is mental health, and we know that health is certainly our wealth. These individuals will come to you, Andrea Lopez, April Lewis, Kim LaMontagne, and Sharon Lawrence, on mental health and what we need to do to make sure that we're keeping our mind healthy. Attorney Elsa W Smith. She's going to present 8 tips for estate planning for business owners. I tell you, you know that this is an important topic and you certainly do not want to miss it. We're going to end up with Ms. Angela Floyd, enrolled agent and partner of Intelligent Tax Solution. Her session is entitled Business and Personal Finance. She's going to walk us through some dynamic tips on how to keep our business and personal finances above waters.
As you've heard, we have an exciting, jam-packed day. We're excited about you all being here. We want you not only to participate in the summit by asking questions during the session and even at the end if you'd like. But we want you to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have at What Now Movement on Facebook, the What Now Movement in LinkedIn, and at the What Now Movement in Instagram, as well as our website, which is www.thewhatnowmovement.com. We appreciate you all taking this time out to support, to join today and to be a part of the movement.
And we are ready for our next presenter, and she is attorney Elsa W Smith.
So Miss Elsa W Smith is the founder and principal of the law offices of Elsa W Smith, LLC. Elsa focuses her practice on wills, estate planning, and startup business consulting. She counsels individuals, families, and business owners in the creation of wills, trusts, and financial powers of attorney and advance directives. In addition, Elsa assists small and emerging businesses with contract drafting and review, corporate organization, drafting, business policies, expansion and growth consultations, and business succession planning. Please join me in welcoming Elsa W. Smith.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elsa W. Smith. I'm your Maryland estate planning and business attorney. I'm the founder and the owner of the law offices of Elsa W. Smith. I own, as I said, the law offices of Elsa W. Smith. We're located in Maryland. I have two offices. The main office is in Annapolis, Maryland. The second location is in Laurel, Maryland. Although we have two locations, we've been 100% virtual since the pandemic, but it wasn't a real big pivot for us because prior to COVID-19, we were already offering virtual consultations to our potential new clients and consultations for our current clients who just found it more convenient to connect and share documents through our secure platform. So like I said, it wasn't a big pivot for us. As an attorney, you know, we always have our disclaimer, so let me get mine out of the way so we can get to the good stuff. This presentation is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to create an attorney-client relationship or give legal advice. You should seek advice from a licensed attorney in your state. And I say that because I know that we have people watching us from Maryland, DC, all the way down to the Carolinas, Florida. So make sure that you consult with someone licensed in your state for more information on estate planning. So having said that, let's rock and roll. Okay, a bit about me. As I said, I'm the founder and owner of the law offices of Elsa W. Smith. I have over 20 years experience as an attorney. I'm licensed in Maryland and the District of Columbia. I am a sought after public speaker on estate planning topics. I've had the pleasure of being on Dr. Sharon's show a couple of times. And I speak to community groups, churches. Basically, I just love talking to people. And I love sharing what I know because my passion is to educate and empower people through estate planning. My firm's practice areas are estate planning, legacy planning, and business consulting. My firm's mission is to protect you, your family, and your business. And you can always find free information about what I do and connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and I have an awesome YouTube channel at Elsa W Smith Law. Now, why is estate planning essential for business owners? And throughout this presentation, or the point of it rather, is for you to leave with 8 estate planning tips that's going to help you as a business owner with respect to estate planning. If you are a business owner, or if you're thinking of starting your own business, you're familiar with the importance of planning ahead. So as the backbone of your business. Only you know how to run your company. So have you thought about what would happen if you're no longer able to run your business due to incapacity, retirement, departure from the company, and yes, death? You know, what would happen to the business? Who would take over? How would the bills be paid? How are your employees be paid? So one can choose to liquidate the business when they're no longer able to manage it, or they can appoint someone to lead the business in their absence. In any event, you want to document those desires for the benefit of your loved ones and your business associates. So estate planning is essential for business owners because it provides sustainability of assets and savings. It allows you to do succession planning, you know, to protect your assets across generations. We talk about, you know, creating generational wealth. You can do that through succession planning when it comes to your business. Estate planning protects your life, your family, and your business. It allows you to make long-term business goals. And then lastly, you can secure your legacy with someone you trust to make the right decisions in your absence. So today's topics, we're going to cover succession planning. We're also going to cover estate planning tools for business owners, wills, advanced directives, powers of attorney, buy-sell agreements, and for the ladies, because I have a special affinity to female business owners, being that I am one, special considerations for female business owners. And then time permitting, there are some questions that were sent to me ahead of time, so I want to go ahead and make sure and address those questions. So here we go. Now, tip number one, and this involves succession planning. You know, first of all, what is succession planning? It's the process of identifying and developing new company leadership upon the owner's death, incapacity, retirement, or departure from the company. So why is this important? It protects the interests, assets, and the longevity of your business, right? And working without a succession plan leaves businesses, partners, employees, customers, and your beneficiaries without any direction. So you're just inviting chaos. So when we talk about management succession planning, that includes the development, training, and support of successors, right? We're also talking about delegation of responsibility and authority to those successors. And what's that going to look like? You can employ outside directors if necessary to bring some objectivity to the process, and you can maximize retention of key employees and active or inactive shareholders. Now, when we talk about ownership transfer planning, that involves coordination between who will own the business and who will manage the business, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be the same person. You want to consider the best interests of the business and the owner's family, right? And then it allows the timing of the transfer of the business during your lifetime, right? So this generally reduces the risk of a discounted sale of the business because everybody's chaotic and there's been no time to do the proper business valuations. So tip number two, right? Family business owners, don't assume your kids are going to continue your business, for heaven's sakes. Owners of family business should pay special attention to succession planning, as well as their own personal estate plan. Some business owners can prefer to dissolve their businesses and distribute the assets to the relatives, while others can find more value in keeping the business in the family, right? So the death or departure of an owner is critical. It's a critical turning point in a family business. So a family business owner should place a high priority on keeping the family informed of future plans. And just a footnote here, this applies as well to your personal estate planning. Communication is key. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Tip number 3, and this involves in creating a will. Be intentional when writing your will. Now, a will is a legal document by which a person called a testator expresses their wishes as to how their property is to be distributed at death. A will names one or more persons, known as a personal representative, to manage their estate, that's everything they own, their stuff, until its final distribution. Now, for business owners, specific wishes, bequests, and preferences can be included in a will. Now, what should you consider when writing your will? You want to identify assets, business assets, bank accounts, digital media, real property, etc. You want to be wise in choosing guardians of your children and trustees of their assets, right? Just think about it. The person who you name as a guardian is tasked with rearing your little ones. Do they have the same values? Do they line up with yours? Do you trust them? Do the children have a positive relationship with these prospective guardians? So that's something you need to really think about. You also want to check your beneficiary designations, like on life insurance policies, for example, because they're going to override whatever you may say in a will. So that's important to work with a professional so they can make sure that all of that is lined up and that there are no conflicts. And then lastly, I always tell people, avoid the DIY method. I know that people are DIYing hair, nails now. You don't want to do that when it comes to your estate plan, because it's going to cost you more in the end to fix something that you may have gotten wrong, just because you found something on some website that you think might work. Laws change, and leave it to the experts. I personally, I have an accountant, financial advisor, people that run my payroll, because I know how to stay in my lane. The law is what I do well. It's what I enjoy. So learn to refer and have a relationship with professionals, particularly when it comes to estate planning. So the requirements in Maryland for executing a will include that you have to be of sound mind. That's called capacity, right? It requires the signature of the testator. It needs to be signed by 2 witnesses, preferably people who are not designated to inherit under the will. And a notary isn't required, at least in Maryland, it's not. Tip number 4, intestacy. So not having a plan is planning to fail, right? So dying intestate, which means dying without a will, means that the state dictates the administration of your estate, not you, based on usually closest surviving relatives and marriage status. But the point is, you're not the one in control, the state is. So without an estate plan or a succession plan, all assets and property related to the business will be divided up according to the laws of the state. And it can result in lost income for your family members, because they're not going to be able to use those business assets for their benefit, because it goes through a judicial process called probate. And it's not until that process is concluded that beneficiaries will have access to those assets. So, as I said, it'll result in a loss of income for family members. And another point with respect to blended families, stepchildren may not be recognized or legally entitled to an inheritance. Again, check the laws of your jurisdiction. So again, another reason to work with an estate planning professional, to make sure that those individuals, those folks that are coming in from a blended family situation, that everyone is taken care of according to your wishes. Tip number 5, protect your business, protect your healthcare preferences, I should say. And this falls under the area of advance directive. Now, an advance directive can facilitate medical decisions that must be made in case that you are incapacitated. Advance directives protect your right to refuse medical treatment that you don't want and request treatment that you do want. You may also want to appoint an agent to make decisions on your behalf when you can no longer communicate these wishes on your own. Now, in the state of Maryland, which is where I practice, our advance directives have two parts. Part one is where you designate who your healthcare agent is. It's also called a power of attorney for healthcare. And part two is known as a living will. And that's where you get to state your preferences regarding life-sustaining treatment that you want in cases of a terminal illness, a persistent vegetative state, or when death is imminent. It's not a legally required document, but I highly recommend it for business owners and non-business owners, quite frankly. You also have the option of just naming, doing the part one and just naming your healthcare agent if you aren't prepared to make those part two choices, which I know it can be a little heavy, but again, another benefit of working with an estate planning professional, because we can just walk you through those choices and to make it a little easier for you to make a decision. Tip number 6, protect your business interests while you're alive. Now this involves a power of attorney. It's a financial power of attorney. Very different than the power of attorney we just spoke of. Now, a power of attorney in this context, it's a key component to business estate planning, because even temporary incapacitation can have a strong impact on your business operations. A power of attorney document allows an agent to make legal, financial, and personal decisions on your behalf. So for this reason, your attorney, in fact, has to be trustworthy. And the decisions, the power of the power of attorney can be general or limited. But that whoever your attorney in fact is, again, needs to be somebody that's trustworthy and that is going to keep your business interest in mind. And in Maryland, executing a power of attorney requires 2 witnesses and a notary. And this is just a tidbit, and I'm glad, and the folks that are watching this on Facebook Live and Zoom, this is very, very new. In the state of Maryland, our Governor Hogan, has within probably a little over 30 days, signed 2 executive orders allowing for remote witnessing as well as remote notarization of these estate planning documents. This is huge because especially if you have individuals in a nursing home, for example, and things have to be done, remotely, or people that simply, that like all of us, we're sheltering in place, we're quarantining. So everything can be done online, subject to specific conditions, but it opened up just so many possibilities for people. And we've been getting calls all day just from people who have, we've told about this news and they just want to jump on it. So I highly advise you, if you haven't created a power of attorney, to connect with either our office or someone in your jurisdiction to help you get started with your estate planning. So tip number 7 involves buy and sell agreements. You want to protect your beneficiaries using these. A buy and sell agreement establishes the terms and conditions of ownership, transfer, or withdrawal. If you're in a business partnership, you can elect to have co-founders buy your share of the company. On the flip side, the document can also facilitate the purchase of a business by an outsider. A buy-sell agreement is customizable to your business needs and preferences. It also helps to minimize stress and uncertainty of the beneficiaries. This can occur when there's no plan or if there's insufficient funding for passing the decedent's business interest to the beneficiaries. For example, one of the co-founders of, say, a family-owned company may want that the business is kept in the family and not sold to outside parties when she dies. She may also want other owners to purchase her share so that the beneficiaries can inherit the full value of her share. The buy and sell agreement usually gives surviving business owners what's called a right of first refusal to purchase the decedent's share. So this keeps the business in a closely held family circle, and it tends to ensure that the values and traditions that made the business a success, that those things will endure. So again, it's planning ahead. It's not overwhelming. It's having the foresight to say, okay, this is how I want to wind things up, or this is how I want to transition my business. As I mentioned earlier on in this presentation, discussion with your relatives and beneficiaries, regardless of what your relationship is with them, is so important. Communication is so important to avoid chaos. And now we are at the final tip. Special considerations for my female business owners. Make sure your finances will get you to and through retirement. According to Social Security stats, the average woman is expected to outlive men by about 5 years. So this means that women are expected to outlive their husbands, which is bad news for those women whose informal plans are to pass on their businesses to their husbands, right? So given that women are expected to outlive their male counterparts, they're also expected to have longer retirement periods, right? So therefore, women need a formal plan to make sure that they have income and investments in place to sustain them through retirement. Now, at our firm, when we bring on a new client, I'm blessed to have relationships with financial advisors, CPAs in my network. And if the clients request it, we make referrals to people whom we trust, because you have to take a holistic view to estate planning. This is not just, a quarterback needs a team, right? So these other professionals usually come in, or individuals or clients may already be working with financial advisors or CPAs, but in any event, it's a collaborative effort. I need to know that the recommendations, that I'm making to you are not going to have serious tax consequences, or are going to get you where you need to be from a retirement standpoint. Again, it's having a team of professionals working with you to help make sure that your long-term goals are fulfilled. So ladies, please remember that. Please, please, please. Okay, so why is estate planning important for business owners, right? It provides empowerment. It's freedom of having someone you trust, underline emphasis, trust, to make personal and business decisions on your behalf when you can't. It provides security. You protect your loved ones when you're gone, and you prevent your family from making difficult decisions. Why? Because you've thought this out, you've thought it through. And it's also going to give you peace of mind, because you're planning, you're planning for the unexpected. Now, I have a free offer for everyone listening and watching. It's my 21-point estate planning checklist. This is absolutely free, and it's for everyone who is watching me on the Zoom and on Facebook Live. You can visit my website at elsawsmithlaw.com/checklist to download the 21-point estate planning checklist. This will help you get organized. Sometimes when I meet people and we start talking about estate planning, the impression or the reaction is that they're overwhelmed. This 21-point estate planning checklist helps you to get organized. Because trust me, when you're calling my office and scheduling an appointment, one of the first things our team is going to send out to you is an estate planning questionnaire. And in that questionnaire, I'm basically, as the kids say, get all up in your business, because it's like going to the doctor. I need to see everything. I want to know where the bank accounts are. I want to know about life insurance. Are you working with a financial advisor? If you are military, do you have, and you know, you've served, do you have your DD 214? You know, those types of questions I want to know ahead of time. So this estate planning checklist will actually put you ahead of the game. So by the time you contact my office, you can say, hey, I've gone through the checklist, I'm ready, let's do this consult. There are questions, and there were a few questions that were actually emailed to me ahead of time. And I think that a lot of folks have these questions. So I'm going to go ahead and address each one, given that we have a few minutes left. So this one, first question. My parents don't like talking about estate planning. How do I break the ice? Okay, so this is a great question. The topic can make some people feel like all you want is their money and the assets, right? So it's like, hurry up and die. You know, so it's a touchy issue, or it can be. So you want to make sure that you come at it with the right approach. So when people are sensitive, you can say that you want to start the discussion because you want to avoid sibling or family conflicts, right? Estate planning is one of the most selfless acts that you can do, because you are thinking ahead. You don't want the chaos. You don't want people creating a GoFundMe campaign just to pay for your funeral, or you know, to try to keep the business afloat. That's very sad. I think many of us online has probably, you know, seen, you know, some GoFundMe campaigns, you know, people pitching in, kind of like passing the plate. I mean, there's no need for that with the proper planning. And as I said, you know, when people die without a plan, I've seen it firsthand, how the sibling rivalries, you know, just they boil to the surface. And it's very sad, and it's not the legacy that I believe that those of us who are watching want to leave. We can do better, and we need to do better. The second question I got, I have young children. Can't I just buy life insurance to take care of them if something happens to me? Let me address this straight on. You should never leave money or other assets directly to minor children. They're not legally, they don't have the capacity to own money or these assets until they reach adulthood. So don't ever name a minor child in your life insurance, for example. What you want to do, a better suggestion, is to consider a trust. And a trust is just another estate planning document, but it's a vehicle where the trust can hold the proceeds from your life insurance policy. And in a trust, you would be required to name a trustee, and this individual or an institution would manage those funds for the benefit of your minor children. You can write in the trust, you can schedule when you want disbursements to be made and under what conditions. And then you can also say when, at what age the child is entitled to get the balance of whatever is in the trust. This is very helpful for parents to say, you know what, I don't really think that, you know, little Jane inheriting $1 million when she's 18 is a good idea. So I want to, you know, I want to wait, give her some while she's in college, and maybe when she's, you know, done with college, she's in her mid 20s, maybe early 30s, then I'll consider giving her the balance of what's in trust. So a trustee, as I said, manages the trust, disperses the funds to those minor children. So it's really important, if you're thinking about a trust, to make sure that it's someone, if you're considering an individual, it's someone that you trust. So I encourage you, if you're in Maryland, DC, contact our office, have a consultation with us to just discuss this and flush it out if this is something of concern to you. And let's see. Third question. Once I complete my estate plan, am I finished? Am I done? Estate planning is not a one and done. It's not like the rotisserie chicken commercial you probably saw. It's not set it and forget it. No. Major life events are causes. They're reasons for you to update your estate plan. So what do I mean? If there's a birth in your family or an adoption, you've got a new beneficiary. And that person has not been named in an estate plan that you might have done a few years prior. If there's a death in the family, things inevitably are going to change. If there are divorces and a remarriage, right, that's another major life event. If there's a significant purchase of property, that's also what's called a major life event. Now, clients at our firm, they'll get the benefit of a check-in call, and that's every few years, just to see if they need to update their plans. Not that we want anything. I'll say, hi, Mrs. Jones, this is Attorney Smith. Hope, just wanted to check in to see how the family's doing. Is everyone doing all right? And you can tell me at that point, oh, this has happened or that has happened. I said, you know what? You're either good, and then I'll talk to you in another few years. Or if something has happened that may be cause for me to suggest, we may need to relook at, some things in the estate plan. So again, those check-in calls, those clients of our firm get the benefit of that. Again, another reason to work with an estate planning professional. In estate planning, it's supposed to evolve with all the phases and changes in your family and all the phases of your business, from the inception, all the way to, to the end of the business's life cycle. The estate plan is supposed to evolve with you. And that's why you need professionals walking alongside you to make sure that things are as you wish them to be, should the unexpected happen. I want to, first of all, thank the three visionaries of this event, Dr. Porter, Dr. Sharon Porter, Eric Twiggs, Ted Fells. Thank you so much for the privilege of being on this webinar. This is the beginning of something huge. I also want to encourage individuals to connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Elsa W Smith Law. I have an awesome YouTube channel with free content. And I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Elsa W Smith Law. And as you see on the concluding slide, if you're in Maryland or DC, I encourage you to give our office a call at 410-995-7719, 410-995-7719. I am Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning and business attorney. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to reach out to me. Connect with me, please. Again, I'm almost on a weekly basis. I'm trying to put out content because there's just so much information out there. But it's so important. And as I said, I love sharing what I have with individuals. So thanks again. Have a blessed day.